This is the Lacrosse Classified podcast on the Lax All-Stars Podcast Network, your go-to source for all things NLL and indoor lacrosse. Each week, we'll cover the hottest storylines and talk to the biggest names in the sport. Now, let's talk some lacrosse.
All right, lacrosse fans, it's time for Lax Class, episode number 46, right here on the Lacrosse All-Stars Podcast Network, where we grow the game one podcast at a time. Jake Elliott, Evan Schemenauer back with you once again, as we're right in the thick of things of the World Champ. Evan, we're actually sitting in the same room today. Let's get that off the top here. This is a little odd for me. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm usually staring at my computer screen, but now I'm kind of off to an angle here. We're sitting literally 5 feet away from each other. This is kind of crazy.
Kind of crazy, but now you don't have to adjust the volume every 5 seconds like you're used to. So
yeah, I don't have to play DJ on my mixer board. So this is kind of neat. We're in the same location. You're out here for the World Championships. We're hanging out for the next week or so. Still haven't got the new commode done in the spare bathroom there, Evan. We'll get to that hopefully. You seem confident you're going to be able to do this in under half an hour. I'm not sold yet, but we'll keep you posted on that.
It's a one piece. It's actually faster than the two piece. So a half hour, 45 minutes, it'll be done.
We'll put a clock on it. We'll see how it goes. Lots of things to talk about. Lots of people to talk to as well. We got a great show for you coming up here for episode 46. We are going to have the CEO of World Lacrosse in Jim Scherr on the program coming up in about 15-20 minutes from now. Really looking forward to this conversation, Evan, to talk to Jim, the CEO of World Lacrosse. We got all sorts of things we want to ask him about the Olympics, about the World Championships going on now. So that'll be a great conversation. And then from the Team USA, the PLL Chaos, the Philadelphia Wings, Blaze Riorden will join us in about half an hour, 45 minutes from now. Blaze coming off a nice 4-goal performance last night, and he's got his Team USA into a quarterfinal game. So we'll talk to Blaze coming up after Jim. And, of course, we'll get you report cards, who you got, news and notes. We'll give away a hat, tell you how to maybe win a T-shirt at the World Championships as well. So great program coming up. And what do you want to do? You want to get right into it?
Yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting program because, yeah, we don't get a chance to talk about international lacrosse that much. And it's not just box lacrosse. It's the field game. It's the Olympics. It's the whole spectrum that this animal has grown into. Because back in 2006, when I was with Bermuda, I think we were the 21st, back then, ILF member. And now they got 63. This is just astounding how much this has grown. And then you got Blaze Riorden, who's got to be one of the most interesting players in the world because, you know, we talk about players that are good on both sides of the floor, like Challen Rogers or Lyle Thompson or Thomas Hogarth. This guy puts playing both sides of the floor to a whole different meaning. Like this, being a goaltender and a forward, this is two totally different skill sets that he somehow manages to combine.
Yeah, it's amazing. I always kind of marveled at Matt Vince, who obviously is one of the best box lacrosse goaltenders on the planet, but then would make Team Canada as a long pole. And I wonder, what is more difficult, going from a field goalie to a box player or a box goalie to a field player?
I think the box goalie is the harder one to meld just because it's a different skill set. It's almost like a hockey goaltender more than anything. And this is one of the difficulties the Americans have had for some time is producing a proper box goaltender.
Or a premier one. Maybe not such a proper one, but a premier one.
Yeah, and because they develop a lot of great field goaltenders, and it's not the same skill set. And it's the hardest skill set to translate between the two games. But you know, like Andy Towers told us a few weeks ago, he was contemplating putting Blaze up at attack, and he wouldn't have hesitated to if he needed him.
And then the other crazy part, then you got a guy like Dylan Ward, and you don't find this very often either. Like, some guys do it, but not many excel at a high level like Dylan Ward, where he is Team Canada's field lacrosse goalie and he's Team Canada's box lacrosse goalie. which is kind of nuts as well.
And he's probably the best, one of the best in the world at both.
Yeah, and honestly, when people ask me who the best lacrosse player in the world is, I usually say Dylan Ward, because if you're the starting goaltender for both disciplines for Team Canada, good chance you're the best player in the world.
Yeah.
Even though he's a goalie, you can't disrespect those goalies. Hashtag goalie union. All right, Evan, let's get into our weekly Lax Class report cards. So you're going to see all my secrets on how I do all these things now, which is still, I'm wrapping my head around this.
All the cheat sheets.
Hey, come on. You can see it, the other people can't. Stampede Tack, more than just a boot store. They carry a wide range of hats, keep you protected from the sun, the rain, the wind, the snow. They're good for camping, fishing, hiking, anything you do outdoors or indoors. At the World Championships, for instance, Stampede Tack front and center. I've seen Kevin Michael Winkler and the gang hanging around the Langley Event Center. So check out stampede.ca, where shopping online is still shopping local. Or head down there to Cloverdale if you're in the neighborhood. And check out Stampede Tack in Western Wear. Evan, where are we going? We going F to A, A to F? What are we doing this week?
Let's end on a pause.
Such a positive guy. Such a positive guy. Okay, let's start with F. And it's not too bad this week. Like, we don't have to rip anybody too hard this week as far as our report cards go, which is nice because we kind of got to go, like last week. We all know what happened last week. Let's move on from that. But we don't have to go at anybody too hard this week, which is nice. But with that being said, our F this week is going out to Team Canada. Stay with me here, Evan. Don't get all excited right off the bat here, but it's going out to Team Canada, Team USA, and I'm even going to throw Team Iroquois into this mix too, because it's not quite there. And that's for these teams at the World Championships. They're the only three teams, I believe, Evan, that don't have name bars on the back of their jerseys. Now, for me, I get the notion you're playing for what's on the front of the jersey and not what's on the back of the jersey. I get that, and I respect that. But where I have the problem with this is average Joe fan, even yourself, Evan, like you didn't know, right? Like, and I had to kind of look at my roster a couple of times, looking at guys watching warm up for the first time, going, who's wearing 68 and who's wearing 55 and who's wearing 91?
Yeah,
because guys have the same numbers as other guys, and they have to pick new numbers to play. But for an average fan that's coming in, that doesn't have a program in front of them, that's watching this game, watching the best players on the planet, and especially for other teams besides Canada, wherever it's being played, they have no idea who is under that helmet or underneath that jersey. And here's an opportunity where you are on the world stage. The world is literally watching your product right now, and they can't tell who's out on the floor playing the game. It can't be a money thing. Name bars don't cost a whole lot of money, and I'm pretty sure Team USA and Team Canada can afford name bars on their back of their jerseys. Why they would not want to market their best of the best of the best in their country to the rest of the world is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. I have a media guide sitting in front of me half the time when I'm watching those.
But not everybody does.
I've got to look at it. It's like,
and you're a diehard fan.
Like looking at who's 68, and you're thinking in the back of your mind, who in the NLL wears 68? Nobody.
Tyler Pace does.
Tyler Pace does. Sorry, but it's Shalon Rogers. But you have to literally look at the guidebook to see it. I don't know how many times I've looked at number 4 thinking it's Kyle Rubisch.
I said that on the very first game. Right. I said, holy cow, is Rubisch ever looking lean and mean?
Right.
And then I realized it was Graham Hossack.
Right. Now, most of the other teams do have them, although Serbia actually did it in Cyrillic, so you have to understand Cyrillic to understand the names.
That's fine.
They're there.
That's fine. The Iroquois,
yeah,
they have it at the bottom of their jersey, but it's very small and subdued, and you can't really. And listen, like you're wearing an Iroquois shirt right now. I picked up a little swag myself, and they have the best merchandise at the tournament, including the jerseys, and I don't think it's even close. Like, their jerseys are phenomenal. But again, you have all these fantastic players that are so good, and you have a chance to introduce the best players on the planet to new fans that are watching the game, and they're going, who's number 22? Who's wearing number 4? It makes no sense. Get name bars on the back of your jersey so you can market the best players in the world to the fans. It makes no sense to me why you wouldn't have, and I'm starting to get excited here, Evan. I didn't want to do that. Get name bars on your jerseys. Don't let this happen again. It's ridiculous. Market your players to the fans. That's our F this week, Evan. D. Let's move on to D, and this is a tough. My favorite player to watch play the game, who is it, Evan? Lyle Thompson.
You and me both.
And Lyle Thompson went down with what we're hearing is a Charlie horse injury. Tim Semish of Israel, I think, landing on top of Lyle, and it wasn't, super egregious. I don't think it was intentional, but I've never seen Lyle Thompson hurt before, which was kind of weird for me to see him limping off the floor to begin with. I thought maybe he turned an ankle, and I thought, okay, first game, they're up handily, maybe they just... But as we've learned as the tournament has gone along, Lyle Thompson is probably not going to return to this tournament anytime soon, if at all. And I'm I can't imagine how disappointed he must be to be able to not play in the World Championships. I'm super disappointed because he's my favorite player and I love to watch Lyle play. But the fans are the ones that really get ripped off to see this guy who's right up near the top of the list as far as best on the planet not be able to play here at the World Championships for his Iroquois Nationals. So Lyle getting hurt. The injury to Lyle Thompson is getting the D this week.
Yeah, and by total fluke, I actually ran into him yesterday at a Walmart, of all places. He was shopping with his kids.
Yeah.
But
hey, when you got kids, that's where you shop.
Yeah, exactly. But he was driving around in one of the electric carts with crutches in hand.
Yeah.
And when I talked to him, he's like, yeah, I'm going through treatment every day. I want to play Saturday. And I'm certain if Lyle can hobble out on the floor Saturday, he's going to be there because this World Championship means more than 10 NLL titles to him.
It does. Right? It really does. And the Iroquois, for that matter. And they've really ran into some bad luck at this tournament. Thomas Hogarth going down would look like to be an apparent MCL injury last night. And
Dougie
Jamieson going down. There's been a number of players I've seen, in slings around the arena and stuff. It's a real physical game, obviously, and it's a long tournament. And part of getting through it and part of being successful is getting healthy and being healthy through the entire week.
And this is the conversation I had with Ed Como on Sunday night was that, these guys have gone through some of them 22 games in the NLL season.
Well, Zach Currier, what was the stat you had on Zach Currier?
About 70 games because, and I don't know how many games he's played with the Lakers or with the Denver Outlaws, but if he played every game with the Peterborough Lakers, that's 35 games this year between regular season playoffs and right? The MLL season, that's another, 14 games, ballpark, plus Worlds.
Another 20 plus in the NLL.
Right, so, and this is the thing is, training camp's only 5 weeks away.
Yeah,
there are going to be guys that are just so beat up. They're going to have injuries going into the season quite substantially here.
I really hope that some of these guys on these top teams in the Iroquois and USA and Canada get some time off from their coaches for training camp. Does Mark Matthews really need to go through a Saskatchewan Rush training camp? And it's not like the old days where you're getting into shape at training camp. And it's not like Mark doesn't know the systems and all that sort of stuff. I think you give him the first couple of weeks of camp off, let him get healed up and get right so he's good to go for the season.
He's out there, but he's not. He's 70% tops.
So we'll see how it plays out. But a lot of guys getting it out here at the World Championship. So no name bars get the F. Lyle's injury is getting the D. Lyle's not getting the D.
No,
the injury
injury's getting the D.
Yes,
and even the Canadian players were saying it
they want the best.
They want to play him, right? And they say, well, people are going to say, well, the reason you won because Lyle wasn't there. Well, forget that nonsense.
I'm not ready to go that far. Yeah,
things happen, right?
Yeah.
But no, they want to win the title.
They want best on best.
Yeah.
They want best on best. So the injury to Lyle is getting the D. Let's move on to C. And I'm not sure quite how I feel about this, Evan. You've moved on to your second marriage. I've been divorced.
Common law the second time around. I was smarter the second time around.
I've moved on from my first marriage as well. A Team Mexico player proposing at the World Championships. This is going to get our C here, Evan. Congratulations, I guess, and maybe good luck, I guess. I don't quite know how to approach this one. I guess it takes some guts to get down on the turf and propose to a lady right in after the game like that. Like, a lot of things can go wrong in that situation there. So, marriage proposal at the World Championships, it's not such a good thing. It's not such a bad thing. To each their own. Team Mexico and the marriage proposal getting to see this week.
Yeah, if I did that with either wife, I would have been shot, right? Absolutely destroyed. So, good on him for doing it. And I mean, the sweaty hug that his fiance got from the entire team.
Yeah, that
had to have been.
That was kind of neat at the end. They all surrounded her and kind of cut the jump cheer going.
I tell everybody, try marriage once and then evaluate for yourself afterwards. But, good on him for doing it.
Yeah, fair enough. So, marriage proposal, Team Mexico, you're getting the C. We're going to move on to letter grade B here on Stampede Tax Weekly Lax Class Report Cards. And I mentioned the Iroquois Nationals jerseys, and I really, at this World Championships, I don't know if I've seen a jersey where I was like, that stinks. Like, that, I don't like that jersey.
The Irish I wasn't a fan of, but that's maybe it.
Yeah, I mean, with maybe a couple, one of their jerseys, like either their roads or their homes or their blacks or their whites or whatever you want to call it, have been but for the most part, as a general, like, all the jerseys here at the World Championships have been exceptional, and our old friends at Extreme Threads have done a lot of them. But there are some phenomenal jerseys here at the World Championships, and I think they deserve a letter grade, so they're getting a B.
If you have to watch a game, watch the Dutch jerseys. These are something else. Like, it's literally like a lion coming out of the jersey. It is a sight to be seen. Israel really stepped up its game. Hong Kong actually has some very nice ones, but there's not a jersey I would be disappointed with. And the crazy part is that some of the merchandise that goes around. I mean, I bought a hat for my son from the Swiss team, which
is Vasily going to be listening to this now? He's going to know that you're coming home with some gifts.
No, he won't listen to it till he gets back. But yeah, there's a lot of nice merchandise. I mean, I got the
I really like what you're wearing right now. This is great podcasting because nobody can see what you're wearing right now, but it's a nice, like, kind of dry fit, long sleeve, which I've never really seen, long sleeve golf polo style dry fit, purple Iroquois Nationals, very nice. So uniforms, the other, I kind of wanted to split the B because we just don't have enough letter grades to get this in, but it definitely needs to be mentioned, and that's the goal from Dahoga Nanticoke that he scored against. Was it Team USA? Who did he get that against?
Yes, he got it against Americans.
It was absolutely insane. If you haven't seen it, make sure you go find this thing on Twitter. It's making the rounds. It's gone viral. More or less, Warren Hill takes the shot and gets up quickly, long bomb up the floor, and hits Nanticoke coming off the Iroquois bench. He catches this ball with two American defenders kind of draped on him, and in full speed, like he's running as fast as he can, goes one-handed, sub-shot around his back, between his legs. Far corner, and then slams into the end boards after scoring the goal. It is absolutely incredible. Stamper and Astle had the call for it. I was super jealous that I wasn't on the call for that one. But what a goal. Goal of the tournament. I don't think we'll see one better.
Oh, no, and he also had what you thought was the best loose ball you've ever seen.
Last night.
The one-handed.
Yeah. Seriously, like the skills are off the chart with the kid, and I'm monikering him the chosen one for TN1. So uniforms and Dahoga get the B this week, and the A is going to go out to Lax Sports Network, who have stepped up, purchased the broadcasting rights, and have streamed the entire World Championships, all 72 games, for free. And Evan, this is huge for the Worlds. This is huge for the sport of lacrosse. This is really big for Lax Sports Network as well and World Lacrosse to be able to deliver the World Championships to the entire world and do it for free is absolutely massive. And kudos to LSN and everybody at World Lacrosse and TFSE TV and Langley Events, everybody that got together and made this deal happen to make it possible for the world to watch the World Games. they're getting the A this week.
Yeah, it's the right way to go, because if it's say a $10 per game, which a lot of the WLA and the MSL games are, you get 100 buys or 200 buys, and that's about all you're going to get, even for a normal Worlds game. It's free, and like at one point towards the end of the first half, it went down for a while because there were so many people watching that game.
Yeah.
So it just exposes the sport to a lot more people, and like we've said so many times, it's something the NLL needs to look at, either television strategy or digital free strategy, that people can happen upon it and start to, watch the game of lacrosse and get exposed to it for the first time.
Yeah.
Like I did back in
That's
99 with the Toronto Rock.
That's how you get new fans, is they come across the sport, they see it, and they go, holy cow, look at this. And then they want to watch it again. And if you're offering it for free, you're going to get more eyeballs on your product. Then all you need to do is get name bars on the back of your jersey so people know who they're watching when they're playing. So to recap quickly, no name bars gets the F. The injury to Lyle Thompson gets the D. The marriage proposal from Team Mexico gets the C. Uniforms and TN1 spectacular goal gets the B. And LSN for streaming the World Championships gets the A this week here on Lacrosse Classified. We're going to take a break, and we got the CEO of World Lacrosse coming up next here on Lacrosse Class. Keep it locked right here on the Lacrosse All-Stars Podcast Network.
Hey, this is PBL athlete Zach Courier of Team Canada Lacrosse, the Calgary Roughnecks, and Peterborough Lakers. You're listening to Lacrosse Class, growing the game one podcast at a time.
All right, welcome back to Lacrosse Classified here on the Lacrosse All-Stars Podcast Network. Jake Elliott, Evan Schemenar with you, and now joined by the CEO of World Lacrosse. It's Jim Scherr, who is in Langley right now. Jim, thanks for joining us here on Lacrosse Class.
You're welcome. Glad to be with you, Jake. And here in Langley, watching some fantastic lacrosse.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe no more fantastic lacrosse than what we saw last night with the Iroquois Nationals and Team Canada. We'll probably discuss that a little bit. But first thing I want to ask you, Jim, is how did you find yourself to become the CEO of World Lacrosse? Do you have a lacrosse background? How did you find yourself into this position?
Great question. I do not have a lacrosse background. I have a background in sport and Olympic sport. I was competed in a lot of sports in high school, but unfortunately no lacrosse in South Dakota, where I'm from. Lacrosse was the sport in South Dakota where proverbial guy carrying the lacrosse stick got to South Dakota, and somebody said, "What are you carrying?" And
sounds like Saskatchewan.
So there is lacrosse there now, which is fantastic. But I wrestled in the 1988 Olympics. Was the executive director of USA Wrestling for 10 years. Was at the U.S. Olympic Committee for just under 10 years. And then ran a couple other entities, including the European Games. And then this opportunity came up, and thought it was just an incredible opportunity because obviously, as everyone in lacrosse knows, this is a great sport. I was impressed with the growth of lacrosse in the United States and the strength of U.S. Lacrosse and what I had known of their organization, and then felt the opportunities and the potential growth and success of international lacrosse was something that I could contribute to. So it's a great opportunity for me, and I'm glad that I found lacrosse and they found me.
Your biggest task, of course, in the coming years is the reintroduction of lacrosse into the Olympic Games. Maybe just give the listeners an update as to where things stand with getting lacrosse into 2028.
Well, there's two components of it. One is, what is the process, and then two, where does lacrosse stand in that process? So, the Olympic Games has a fixed number of existing Olympic sports, which are 28 on the summer program, the Olympic Games. The IOC has decided that in order to allow the host city to create more interest in their games, allow them to select what they call provisional sports or host city sports, and the host city makes recommendations to the IOC on sports they want to include, which are intended to help the city make the games more relevant to the city in which the games are being held, make them more relevant to the country in which they're being held, and then help the overall popularity and economic success of the games. So Tokyo and Paris, which are the next two sites of the Summer Olympic Games, have both undertaken that process. Paris added 4 sports. Tokyo added 5. Lacrosse, since last November, is now a provisional sport recognized by the IOC. So we are now eligible to participate in the process for Los Angeles, which is the next games, which has not yet selected their host city sports. So our opportunity is in 2028 with Los Angeles, and we are working to hopefully return lacrosse to the Olympic Games in LA.
Speaking with Jim Scherr, the CEO of World Lacrosse, and with that being said, Jim, let's stay on the Olympic topic here for a moment. A lot of people talking about the format of lacrosse and how it will be played at the Olympics, and it's kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's a bit of a hybrid between field lacrosse and box lacrosse with some different types of rules. How did the formula for what we will see at the Olympics come to be, and was that part of the IOC saying this is what we need for it to happen, and part of World Lacrosse? You know where I'm going with this, Jim? Like, how did you come up with what we're going to see?
It is there's 2 reasons that the new discipline was developed. One is that it will help a number of countries develop lacrosse programs more quickly that otherwise wouldn't be able to, given the numbers in the existing field game right now. So that was a consideration. The second was we took a set of assumptions, and World Lacrosse appointed a working group, which is called Blue Skies Working Group, to come up with a set of rules that were trialed and then readjusted, and now will be continued to be worked on. But the assumptions were based on assumptions that we either have been told directly by the IOC or the Los Angeles Games, or understand from the previous 2 processes, that we needed a game that had a shorter length of running time. We needed a game that was fit into a television and in today's world, a digital format and windows for streaming and for linear broadcast. We needed a game that was easy in terms of a tournament, easier to run and schedule and manage within a multi-sport event format. And we needed a game that significantly reduced the numbers because numbers are such an incredibly important consideration for the Olympic movement now as they try and manage the size of the overall games. They've capped the games at 10,500. And then we also wanted to try and bring the rules between the men and the women closer together, if we could, recognizing that cultural and development differences have happened in the game. So the Blue Skies Working Group took those set of assumptions and built this new discipline, which obviously we're still working on, but we've been pleased with the trials to date, and we'll continue to promote and grow this as an option. Does this replace our existing field game? No. Does it replace the existing box game? No. And we're not intending it to. Yeah,
that's kind of my next question, Jim. Is there a fear or maybe some trepidation that what we're going to see and what we're developing here so we can get the sport into the Olympics is going to be such a shadow of what the actual sport is? Is there a fear that you're getting too far away from what the sport of lacrosse is supposed to be?
Well, I think that always is a I don't know if it's a fear, but it's something that we're definitely
that might not be the right word.
With, that we don't want to have happen because the game has grown and become as popular as it is now because the values in the game are pretty strong, and the game that is played, people respond to it, and it's viable. However, I would say we're probably in the realm of 3-on-3 basketball. That might not be the best example, but 3-on-3 basketball is not going to replace the Olympic 5-on-5. But they put a tremendous amount of energy into it, and it's now an Olympic sport as well. Rugby sevens is now in the Olympics, and traditional rugby 15s is still the most popular form of rugby in the world. But sevens is rapidly gaining on it.
Yeah, I think that's
it hasn't affected it. Yeah,
I think that's a great analogy
from participation in rugby 15s. And so we'll continue to keep an eye on that and watch it, and try and keep this new version of the game as close to, in terms of the values of the game, as close to the traditional game as possible. But obviously, we still know we need a different product.
Sure.
To make a return to the Olympics.
Right, and this might be putting the cart before the horse, because of course the first step is getting the sport into the games. But there's some nation recognition issues that are going to be coming up. Of course, Great Britain is the member in the IOC as opposed to England, Scotland, Wales, which are in World Lacrosse. But of course, the bigger issue likely is the Iroquois Nationals, who are not recognized at all by the IOC. Is there going to be something in place to hopefully get them into the Olympic Games?
Yeah, it's obviously something that is a very major part of the fabric of lacrosse. Obviously, we all know that the game was created in northeastern part of this continent, and the Iroquois have given the lacrosse community in the world a great gift. And the unique thing about that is they're still a very incredible force in the game, and one of the best teams in the world in terms of the competitive ability of their teams, both men and women. And so it's a very critically important part of lacrosse. Should lacrosse return to the Olympics, we'd love to have the Iroquois Nationals and the Haudenosaunee as a part of those games. However, you are correct. The current IOC rules, as they're implemented and as they have been put in place by the IOC, wouldn't allow that. And so I think hand in hand with our attempt to get in the Olympics, it's something that we will work with the IOC on, work with LA 28 on, and work with the Iroquois on. So certainly a huge consideration, something that we would like to bring forward, but obviously can't guarantee, because we don't make the rules. We have to live within those rules.
Yeah, and as we speak with Jim Scherr here, like we had Lyle Thompson on the program a while back and kind of asked him about how he would feel about lacrosse being in the Olympics and the Iroquois not being able to play. And of course, Lyle and the Nationals want to be in, but he said, like, I'd rather not be able to play and see the sport in the Olympics and grow if that's what it has to come to. For me, I almost look at it the other way. Like, I think it's a non-starter. If the Nationals aren't there, I almost not sure I want to see lacrosse in the Olympics, because I think they belong there, and it wouldn't be right to play the tournament without them being a part of it. So we speak with Jim Scherr here, and we have so many things that we want to talk to you about, Jim. And one of them, myself and Steven Stamp, who were calling a game yesterday at the World Championships, the discussion of indoor, outdoor, box, field came up, and what fans commonly refer it to, what they would like it referred to. As we know, this is called the World Indoor Lacrosse Championships, where I think people are running into a bit of an issue, and I think you know where I'm going with this, Jim, is that you can play field lacrosse indoors, you can play box lacrosse outdoors, and it gets a little convoluted. I know the rebranding from FIL to World Lacrosse, and I think that was fantastic to kind of put your stamp on it with your new staff and get this thing going in the right direction. Has there been any consideration to maybe changing the branding to box and field instead of indoor and outdoor? Or is this something that you guys have kind of hitched your wagon to and going to stick with?
There have been a number of discussions relative to that, and what are the proper, and there are people, and I have to respect the opinions of the people who have been in the game for a very, very long time. There are people on both sides of the issue, right? So we've had a number of people say, well, we should use the terminology box for anything that is box lacrosse, whether it is a box lacrosse game set up with boards on an outdoor field, or box lacrosse on an indoor venue. So that's one side of the argument. The other side of the argument is, well, let's keep indoor and outdoor, and because box kind of denotes a building more than a game, and let's all standardize everything the other way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think certainly one of the things that as a federation, and I think one of the things that we've heard a lot here, and in my time at World Lacrosse, is a viable development alternative for lacrosse is let's get portable boards and let's play box lacrosse or indoor lacrosse outdoors.
Right.
And let's use that as a development tool. And there is something to that, and a lot of makes a lot of sense in different places. And so, I think we really need to kind of look at how it's branded, how we, branding has two parts. One is, trying to come up with, a brand and a set of marks to identify it with. But the other part of it is then how do you build equity in it and build the usage? So we would have to do both in this case.
Sure.
But I think we really need to, as a sport, from the international side, take a look at it.
Yeah, well, just so you know, Jim, we ran a poll on Twitter. We got over, I want to say, close to 1,400 votes. And box and field won in a landslide by about 94% on the poll, if that means anything to you.
No, that's great. That's good to know. That's great to know.
So far, 5 days into the tournament, much larger tournament than we've seen in the past, a lot of new countries. What are your thoughts so far on the opening 5 days?
Missed the last part of your sentence, Jay.
But just your overall thoughts as to, we're 5 days into the tournament. What are your thoughts on the World Championships so far?
Well, I think it's obviously a very you kind of have two different events within one here. There's no secret that you have three teams that are have a gap among the rest of the field. Although Israel and England have had some good moments in the tournament, they're not quite at that other level yet. But three phenomenal games so far that we'll see some great games in the semis and finals, as well as those games are kind of revisited. But the level of lacrosse in those games has been just incredible, and the kind of play that you're seeing really shows what this sport is all about. But I think we also have some countries that haven't been here before that are competing very, very well. You've got some countries that are really developing, and it's been really great to see that kind of spirited competition happening, kind of in that next wave of the event. So it's been pretty neat. Serbia and
Netherlands,
has been
Hong Kong,
pretty good surprise, and the Netherlands coming on with a pretty strong team is another major surprise. Finland, which has had potential, is playing very, very well here. So it's good. It's nice to see. Hong Kong's
been great.
Actually, gained some experience. They're going to be fantastic. So it's kind of nice. It's good, and I think box/indoor lacrosse. We won't end the argument today, but we'll continue to grow and become more popular on an international level. And there's no question that the game is, this form of lacrosse is pretty darn exciting.
You talked about the development of the game, and I think back, this would have been 14 years ago now. I was actually the person who was instrumental bringing Bermuda in as a member back then. We were the 21st member when we joined. Back then it was the ILF. Now you have 63 countries. It's got to be fantastic to see the growth, but I guess at the same time, what are the challenges to trying to develop the games in these smaller countries where you may only have a couple hundred players to start with?
I think it's similar to the challenges you face in any sport. I mean, you need. I think it all starts with great coaching. You need coaches who are passionate and knowledgeable. And if you have a coach who is both passionate and knowledgeable, wherever they are, they usually end up creating programs. But that coach also needs some funding. They need fields, and they need an audience. They've got to be able to find some kids. And then, obviously, as we all know, you need some equipment. And one of the biggest challenges we have in lacrosse is effectively getting good equipment out around the world, because with no retail base and no real strong wholesale base outside of a few countries, it really makes it much, much more difficult. But I think we started to do a better job in that. And then, as in every sport, you need facilities and resources. But I think once and if we return to the Olympic Games, I'll say once, because I think we will be successful, and certainly over time we will be successful. But that also brings I think it brings two things. One, it brings real resources from the National Olympic Committees and sport ministries in a whole host of countries around the world where those resources are not open to our governing bodies or prospective governing bodies. And the second thing it does is it's a stamp of approval that a parent or a school administrator or an athletic club administrator or a coach can look at and say, oh, that sport's in the Olympics. We should have it in our club. We should have it in our school. I should let my children go play it. And that's pretty valuable commodity to have around the world.
Speaking with CEO of World Lacrosse, Jim Scherr. And Jim, a couple of more here for you before we let you go. We really appreciate your time. And I guess something I want to bring up, and this won't be the easiest question to ask and won't be the easiest question to answer, I'm sure, as well. And it may be something that you can't even have a direct impact on. I don't know. But I guess where I'm going with this, Jim, is that we're pretty spoiled here in Canada with the level of officiating that we get, not only in Canadian summer lacrosse, but throughout the National Lacrosse League as well. And I hate to say it, but the officiating at this tournament has been a bit of a focal and talking point, and not for good reasons. And I understand it that you're getting international officials from all over the world coming to a world stage and maybe seeing caliber of lacrosse that they've never even encountered before, and it's fast and it's quick and it's explosive and all these things, and hard to kind of wrap your head around. And on the flip side of things, before I get to my question, I think the officials have done a wonderful job of being super consistent on the way that they've called this tournament. And whether it's the right way that they've called it or the wrong way, I think they've been ultra consistent on the way that they've called the games. And I think that the teams have had a hard time adjusting to that, and that's on them more than it is the referees. Where I'm going is, how do we get, I guess, the rest of the world get caught up to the officiating standard that maybe we're used to here in North America?
Yeah, very good question. And I think I'd answer it a couple ways. One is, there's a dedicated pool of officials that have been drawn from across the world for this event. And you're right, many of them don't have the background that and the number of games under their belts that the officials, or the level of games that the officials that some of our teams are used to in North America, either playing in the NLL or in domestic leagues in Canada. So that's a tough one. But also, there are some rules differences, and certainly the way the rules are interpreted and enforced are different. And so, and that happens all around the world. But when they come here, we're trying to stick to the way the World Lacrosse rule book and the way that it's been interpreted, and be consistent. So I appreciate the fact that there has been consistency.
Yeah.
But there have been a couple of games that whether teams or whether officiating have kind of gotten away a little bit in terms as clean a game as possible and just letting the players decide the outcomes. And I think it's a growing pain. You have more teams in this tournament, you need more officials, you spread out a little bit more. But also we want to grow the capabilities of officials around the world. And so you're bringing officials from around the world from here, and it's tough to train officials at a world event.
Sure.
But I think as we continue to try and what I would call bring our entire sport up to different levels now that we have a strategic plan and a management team and more funding, officiating will be a major part of that, both in how we identify, develop, train, certify officials, and then train them for an international stage like this. And it's a resource game. We have all volunteer official crews that are spending their time trying to develop for this event and then be at this event. It's one of the things that we need to continue to look at as an international federation and how we support it financially and how we train and develop. But it is a
work in
major part of
progress.
our plan going forward to put more resources into that development.
Absolutely. I saw Brian Lemon, Director of Officials for the National Lacrosse League, in the house last night. I'm sure you've had a number of conversations with him. I'll ask you one more here, Jim Scherr, before we let you go. And that has to do with the women, the ladies, the girls. We've seen U19 girls field lacrosse. We've seen women's field lacrosse at the World Championships. We know we have U19 boys. We have men's field lacrosse championships. And now we have the men's World Lacrosse Championships. For box lacrosse, will we in fact see U19 World Championships for box lacrosse under World Lacrosse? And to take that a step further, when is it time for the women to get onto the world scene as far as box lacrosse goes to at the U19 and the senior level? Is that something that's maybe on the horizon to see the women and the girls come in to the box lacrosse on the world scene?
Yeah, great question. I think two parts of that. One is, do we need to expand our set of offerings and go U19 with box lacrosse and or some other form of a World Junior Championships? And we're certainly in discussions with the group that held that, which I would call a kind of a World Invitational event already.
Yep.
And we certainly want to develop this sport and try and move in that direction. So that is on the horizon. And do it in a cooperative fashion with the people who are playing, who have box lacrosse at those age groups. And then secondly, on the women's side, and it's a bit of a chicken and egg, right? Do you build it and then teams will develop and come, or do we develop teams and create a demand and then have an event? So we're looking at that, but we're certainly looking at the development of box lacrosse for women and how we can promote it and get more countries to play it. And we talked about having a invitational tournament in Europe next year,
cool.
and try and kind of stimulate some growth. And so we're definitely on the horizon. Obviously we have a lot of priorities and we can't do everything. But I think as we look at our long range planning, this is as everybody who's been here has witnessed, this is an incredible form of lacrosse, and incredibly exciting and great game, and we as International Federation should be developing that opportunity for women. And so long term, we will definitely be working in that direction.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jim, I'm super excited that you're now steering the ship in the right direction. I think World Lacrosse has already done a ton of great things and more great things to come on the horizon. It was fantastic to meet you briefly yesterday. I appreciate your time here on Lacrosse Classified and look forward to seeing you around the Langley Event Center for the rest of the week here at the World Championships.
Great. Well, thanks for having me on. Thanks for what you do for the game, and we're going to have a great another week here in Langley.
I appreciate it. Best of luck. I know you're pulling some long days there at the LEC. Keep it up, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Jake.
Thanks, Jim. That was Jim Scherr, the CEO of World Lacrosse, and that was just a fantastic conversation, Evan. A lot of things to digest there in that 25-minute phone call.
And we only scraped the surface of everything going on underneath the game because, like I said, it's an organization that I believe the 1994 World Championship had 4 teams. So you've gone from that to having to have qualifiers now to get into the World,
and here we are with 20 teams at the Box Lacrosse Championships as well. It's fantastic, and new leadership at World Lacrosse, and they're pushing this thing in the right direction. It's high time, and I love to see it. It's fantastic to see, and I'm like so excited for what's on the horizon for this sport, because I really feel like now the World Lacrosse Federation is heading in the right direction. It's been some time since we've been able to say that. Let's take a break, Evan Schemenauer, and on the other side we have Team USA member Blaze Riorden. Coming up next here from the Stars and Stripes, live from Langley at the World Indoor Lacrosse Championships. Blaze Riorden on the other side here on Lacrosse Classified on the Lax All Stars Podcast Network.
Pure Vita Labs is proud to bring you the highest quality sports supplements on the market. PVL products are 100% all natural with no artificial flavors, colors, or sweeteners. And the entire line is also Informed Choice certified. We designed all our products with the athlete in mind. We look forward to being a part of your athletic achievements, helping you push the bar higher, win at the highest levels, and set personal records for years to come.
Hey, this is Andy Towers, head coach of the PLL Chaos Lacrosse Club. You're listening to Lacrosse Classified on Lax All Stars Podcast Network.
All right, lacrosse fans, welcome back to Lacrosse Classified here on the Lax All Stars Podcast Network. Thanks to our friends at Pure Vita Labs. Anything else would be unsportsmanlike. Hashtag flip the switch. Best supplements on the market, you know by now, Evan, all natural, no artificial colors or flavoring. They're Informed Choice certified. Best on the market. Tons of lacrosse players taking those supplements, and even a broadcaster or two are on them as well. PVL.com is where you can find them. One of Blaze's teammates, Trevor Baptiste, a PVL athlete. As we welcome Team USA member, Team Chaos member, Philadelphia Wing member, it's Blaze Riorden on the program. Blaze, thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure, man. Why don't we start last night? Fantastic game for you and your teammates on Team USA. You get 4-2 against Team England, and a real nice win for you guys before getting a day off and awaiting your quarterfinal matchup.
Yeah, no, it was a huge team win, and it's just all about momentum at this point. It's a long tournament. A lot of bumps and bruises along the way, but I think the three guys that came in late from the PLL championship gave everyone a little spark, and we're clicking on all cylinders, and we hope to continue that trend.
Of course, one of those teammates is your Philadelphia Wings teammate, Matt Rambo, who has had one absolutely unbelievable season in the PLL. What's the impact he brings to your team, and how do you think this is going to translate into the Wings season coming up?
Yeah, he's the X factor. He's got traits that you can't teach. You're just born with them, and his calm, cool, collective mindset into the game definitely is a calming presence for our offense. But he just puts the ball in the back of the net, and he's a guy that you want to work hard for, because you know that if you're working hard for him, then it's going to be beneficial for our team, because he's going to have a huge impact on the game. So having him back is awesome, and he's one of my best friends. So it brings a little new life to our left side, and we're excited to get things rolling.
We're talking with Blaze Riorden, and Evan and I were talking about this before we got onto the show here, and we were talking about Matt Vince and how he is a top-flight goaltender in box lacrosse, but then it was a long pole in field lacrosse. And you're the opposite, where you're a goaltender in field lacrosse, but then a forward in box lacrosse, which is really there's nobody else that's doing this, Blaze. How did this all transpire, where you picked up one discipline in the outdoor game and another in the indoor game? How did this all come about, and how did you manage to work your way to the top at the pro level of both disciplines?
I started off, I grew up with a lacrosse stick in my hand. My dad played growing up, so I was born with a lacrosse stick in my hand. And growing up, I always played offense and loved to score. But at an early age, I think 5th grade, I ended up hitting our goalie in the hand with a shot and broke his hand. And so my dad was like, since you did it, you got to be the one that hops in that. And I hopped in and had all these pads on, and I was like, I'm not wearing these stupid pads. And he's like, well, if you get hit and you cry, it's not my fault. And my first tournament ever, I got hit in the shoulder with a shot, and everyone comes running to the sideline, and my dad was like, What's going on? And he goes,
I told you.
Your goalie called a time. Your goalie called a timeout, and I ran off the field to cry. So I didn't cry on the field. And he bought my first goalie stick. So it kind of started like that, and then I was lucky enough in my Albany days to have the pleasure of playing with the Thompson Trio, and I played man up at Albany. Coach Morrow was like, "Hey, I've seen your shot. Why don't you play some man up?" And I played goalie, obviously, and Paul moved me down to the Akwesasne Mohawk Reservation, and I played my first year of junior B lacrosse when I was 18. It was my first ever year at box. I wasn't very good, but I loved it, and I stuck with it for 3 years and won a Founders Cup and started to get the hang of it and got the opportunity in 2015 to play for the USA team, and I shined a little bit there and just continued to work at it, and it was a long journey, but it got me to where I am today, and it's been an awesome experience.
Now, you got a completely different skill set involved here. How do you manage to transition your game from one completely opposite set of skills to the other in such quick fashion?
It's tough at times, but at the end of the day, it's riding a bike. I'm 25 years old now, and I've been playing since I've been 4 years old. So at some point, it just has to come natural. You know, I've had a stick in my hand every day from the time you can walk. So it's just something that you got to put it's more of a mental mindset.
Is there one that's
from one season?
Sorry, Blaze. Is there one that's harder than the other? Like, is it easier to go from playing a game of field and goal and then going to play a box game, or is it easier to play a box game as a player and then go play a game of goal? Or does it matter?
It both have their challenges. Being a goalie, I mean, I don't think there's many people that are able to just hop in a game and start playing the hand-eye coordination, the mental mindset of being a goalie is definitely very difficult. But then the fast pace of the NLL, as most people know nowadays, the NLL is some of the best athletes in the world. It's not just about stick skills anymore. So getting up to speed, fitness-wise, and the pace of play is definitely a lot different than being in a goal all day. So both have their challenges, but I definitely think it's harder from going from box season into goalie season, not seeing shots for 7 months and then hopping back in net, getting hit the first couple of times. Doesn't feel normal, and it takes a little bit to get going, but once you're in the zone, you're in the zone.
And you can't run off the field to go cry anymore either.
No, crying's not an option, so I'm stuck with the bruises.
We had your head coach, Andy Towers, on about a month ago, and when we asked about you, he said, you are the best goaltender on the planet. Not only he said, he repeated it to make sure we knew that he was serious. Got to be some high praise from one of the best coaches in the game.
Yeah, no, it means a lot, but at the end of the day, it's a team sport, and I'm only as good as the guys in front of me, and I was lucky enough to be able to play behind guys like Brody Merrill and Jared Newman and Mark Lassini and, all my Chaos teammates. So they made my job a little easier, and I respect Coach Towers to the highest praise. So the fact that he would even mention that is a huge honor. But at the end of the day, we're just getting started, and I'm here to win championships.
It's just too bad he doesn't coach better with a little more energy, Blaze. Hey,
right. Yeah. His pregame speeches will put you to sleep if you're not drinking pre-workouts. So you gotta get yourself pumped up for the games around him.
You got guards around you that make sure nobody's running through a brick wall after that, right?
Yeah, and you better watch out too, because you never know when you're going to get one of his forearms to your chest. He always jokes around and gives you one and laughs after it, but
no doubt,
the guys that get hit aren't laughing after. They're trying to catch their breath. So.
No doubt.
He's the man.
Speaking with Blaze Riorden here of the Philadelphia Wings and Team USA, let's get back to the World Championships here, Blazer. And you coming into this squad, I would imagine most of these guys, if not all, but is there maybe a guy or two on this team that you didn't really realize how good he was, or maybe a guy that you didn't know very well that you've kind of gotten close to over the last 5 or 6 days here? Yeah,
no, I know a bunch of the guys coming in, and people continue to impress me. I think a guy to look out for this tournament is Matt Dunn. He's a guy that picked up box lacrosse. I think at the Lax All-Stars tournament last year was his first time putting on box pads, and he's one of the best PLL defensemen in the league. And he continues to impress me. I played against him. He played for the Georgia Swarm this year, and he did a great job. And he came here and played lights out yesterday after getting on a flight and traveling. He's just a guy that continues to impress me. He's always asking questions and watching film, so I'm excited to see how the rest of the tournament transpires for him. But it's just an absolute honor playing with all these guys. They all have something different, from our veterans to our rookies. They all bring something, so it's great to learn from them and feed off their energy and their experiences. But Matt Dunn's definitely a guy you're going to want to look out for the rest of this tournament.
You guys could have almost been written off by most lacrosse experts after Tom Schreiber goes down in the PLL. Then you come out against the Iroquois, lose a tight one. You're going to get some extra bodies. They've lost Thomas Hogarth. You're probably going to be seeing them again in the semifinals. That game against them in the round robin must have been a confidence booster going forward.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we still lost the game, but there's always confidence. There's always parts of the game that you dissect that you're like, oh, we did this really well, and we did that really well, and this is stuff that we need to work on. So we know we're right there. We know what we got to do. We got to play perfect against teams like the Iroquois and Canada. It's the best of the best, but we're right there with them. And you look at our roster compared to what it was in 2015, and almost every guy on our roster has NLL games. And
that's a huge difference, Blaze? Like, that's a massive difference, having that NLL experience now under your belt.
Yeah, and in 2015, I remember I was walking to go to my first practice in Syracuse, and I heard guys on the elevator saying, "Isn't that Blaze Riorden guy a field goalie?" And I was a rookie, never played anything besides junior B lacrosse. So there's definitely U.S. Lacrosse done a great job getting guys together, and the American product getting put out in box lacrosse nowadays. I mean, you saw how many guys got drafted and how many guys are going to training camp. It's definitely tenfold compared to what it was 4 years ago. So the confidence is there. We just need to execute and stick to our game plan. And, I think it's definitely going to be exciting next couple of days for the World Lacrosse Championships.
No question about it, and you've opened up a lot of people's eyes, including mine and Evan's, Blaze. As we speak with Blaze Riorden here, and I know you got the World Championships on your mind right now, Blaze, but I got to ask you about the Philadelphia Wings going into your second season there in Philly with the new team back there. Not the greatest first season there in Philadelphia, and I would expect only can go up from here, but how excited do you get back with the Wings there in the city of brotherly love coming up?
Oh, I loved it. I'm a Philadelphian now. I live in Philadelphia, and I love the city and everything about the organization. So, as you mentioned, we can only go up from here. And to the naked eye, you see our record, and you're like, "This team sucks." But if you know anything about the game and tuned into the games, you would know that the games were never one-sided. They were all battles that came down to the end, and it's a league. It was a 9-team league, so it's the best of the best. So a little mistake here and there, and the experience that you get along the way are only going to get us better. So hopefully some of those one-goal games that we lost last year turn into wins, and we got a great coaching staff and a great organization and a great group of guys. So I'm just hoping that we can continue to grow, and I'm excited for what's to come.
Yeah, it's a funny game how fine the line is between wins and losses in the National Lacrosse League, and you guys were just on the wrong side of it a few times there with one-goal losses, and it's a fine line to get those wins and losses. Hey, Blaze, I really appreciate your time here on Lax Class, man. Best of luck the rest of the way here at the World Championships, and on with the Philadelphia Wings and the rest of your lacrosse career. I hope we can do this again real soon.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me, and your guys' podcast is great, and it's great for the sport, and it's entertaining, and it was an honor to be on it and to talk to you guys, so I appreciate your time.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it. That was Blaze Riorden of the Chaos of the Wings and Team USA. Evan, you're right, that Iroquois Team USA matchup in the round robin, one of the games of the tournament, and if we get that again in the semifinal, a lot of lacrosse fans are going to be pretty happy watching that one.
Yeah, no, it was an eye-opener because, I think even I was one of the guys that wrote the U.S. off quite quickly, especially with Tom Schreiber going down. That's not the case, and we know it now, and the Iroquois are going to have their hands full in that semifinal.
Yeah, Gal Abrams has really stepped his game up in goal, and I think that's kind of been the difference from USA is now they kind of feel like, hey, we got a goaltender that can win us some games here. So that's a good feeling to have as a team. Evan, let's take a break, and on the other side, it's another round of Who You Got? It's coming up next here on Lax Class on the Lacrosse All-Stars Podcast Network.
Associated Labels and Packaging is in the business of creating first impressions. They'll help you reflect your company values accurately by offering solutions that fit your product needs. With the latest in printing technology and over 35 years of experience, Associated Labels and Packaging is the perfect fit for your company to take your labels and packaging to the next level.
Hey, this is Dan Carey, the general manager of the Rochester Nighthawks. You're listening to Lacrosse Classified on Lax All-Stars, growing the game one podcast at a time.
All right, welcome back to Lax Class. Thanks to our friends at Associated Labels and Packaging. They create first impressions, and they do a mighty fine job of that. Best in the business when it comes to labels and packaging. Associated-labels.com or their social media at Associated LP. Always at the forefront of practicing good environmental techniques with their business, leading that at Associated Labels and Packaging. We want to head down there and check out the compound down there for Sean Ashworth and company in the next few days before you head back to Saskatoon, Evan. Wait till you see this place. It is an absolute juggernaut of a label and packaging conglomerate.
Yeah, and I'm excited because I do work with a marketing company, and we're looking at the possibility of some of our clients actually looking at those products because of the fact that they're biodegradable and whatnot, and it's a very, very important factor now with a lot of our clients to have that awareness.
And yeah, that's right to the forefront of what they care about, maybe more than anything is the environment when it comes to their business. So might be a nice little relationship there. As it's Jake Elliott, Evan Schemenar with you here on Lax Class, and we're going to get into another round of Who You Got, Evan. And, of course, you know that Who You Got is presented by Stampede Tack and Western Wear. Summer riding season, it's pretty much over now, Evan. We are into the fall officially here in September.
You guys call this fall?
Yeah, it's sun is peeking through, high overcast, still warm enough to have the windows and doors open. But, yes, fall is here. But you're still going to get out there and ride your bike. Nothing's stopping you. And they got all the gear that you need at Stampede Tack and Western Wear. Get out there to Cloverdale or shop online at stampede.ca, where shopping online is still shopping local. Evan, last week, no ground gain, no ground lost. We both went a tidy 5-1. Should we give away the hat first?
Sure.
All right, hat is going out to
Greg Miller.
Congratulations, Greg Miller, who went a perfect 6-0.
As did 5 other people, but he was in first.
Greg in. That's how it works, folks. You tie with other people. It's whoever gets their picks in first. And Greg Miller, congratulations.
And we had a record number of entries last week.
Yes, we did. The spreadsheet was fired up last night, getting that all sorted out. Greg Miller, you won yourself a hat. We'll be in touch to get your information and get that off to you. Congratulations. We're about to give another one. This might be the final hat we're giving away, Evan.
Until the NLL season starts, and we're going to find out what the new prize is.
Yeah, and we're going to have to figure out what to do for a couple of segments here for a couple of months.
Yeah.
We're going to have to break format and figure things out, man. We're going to have to do some thinking. But
maybe some NLL team previews.
And we still need to, that's not a bad idea. And we still need to talk to Kevin about what's going to happen here when I win this contest, and you have to pay the piper.
I'm going to probably go see him this afternoon. So
Okay, bring that up. So we both went 5-1. I am 33-26. You are 34-25. 1 game ahead. Now, you listed out 5 games on the Twitter feed for this week. I suggested that we kind of keep it going, just me and you, and go out with a bang here. So we're pretty confident in our picks for the medal rounds here. We are going to pick some extra games just to kind of finish strong here. So stay with me. Are you ready to go?
And if you're listening, you got to get the quick picks in quick because the first game is at 5 p.m. today.
Yeah.
So you got to get them in fast.
I'm calling that one. And listen, even if you don't make the cutoff for that game, still get your picks in because you could go a perfect 4-0 or whatever, and you could still win. But yes, Netherlands and the Czechs come up at 5 o'clock today. Myself, Steven Stamp will have the call. I get a text from Stamper. have the call for that one at 5 o'clock, and then it's Finland and England here on day 6. The Chancellor and Astle will have the call in that one. Okay, who you got? Here we go. So today, like we just mentioned, Evan, you're ahead by 1 game. I get to host again. Both went 5-1. Here we go. Netherlands versus the Czech Republic. This is a tricky one, Evan. Who you got?
I'm going to be interested to see where you try to make up the ground this week because there's not that many spots that I think you can. Here's the difference. Now, and this is an interesting thing in that the Netherlands is in this game in part because Serbia is an associate member. They could not win their group. So the Netherlands are the winners of their group. As a result, the Czechs won their group handily. Here's why I'm making my decision, and that is one of these two teams has one of the hottest goaltenders on the planet at the moment, in one Mr. Peter Dubinsky. I'm taking the Czech Republic.
Andrew Gallant playing, is he the Netherlands goaltender, senior Adnax Warriors third goaltender? He's been playing really well for the Netherlands as well. Man, I think the Netherlands have surprised a lot of people. I think they should have beaten Serbia in their round-robin game. They gave up like a 4-goal lead late in the fourth.
8-1-4.
Yeah, so I don't think they allow that to happen again here. I'm down a game to you. The Czechs got knocked out of the Blue Division last time around. I haven't been overly impressed. I think Dubinsky is playing fantastic, but I got a little feeling about the Dutch here, Evan. Take the Netherlands. Taking them. So I got Netherlands. You got the Czechs. Already a differentiating pick. I like it. After that one today, and this is a real big game. The winner of this one gets to play Israel in the quarterfinal. The winner of Netherlands and Czechs will play
the U.S.
The U.S. Okay, so just so we're staying on the same page here. So winner of Czechs, Netherlands play the U.S. Winner of Finland and England will play Israel. Finland at England. Evan, who you got?
Finland's got an up-and-coming program. They've had one for some time. But the key here is that England rest. And for those that saw the score line yesterday, 22-3, ignore it because Frankie Ciliano was sitting on the bench. Tyson Rowe wasn't dressed. There are a few other guys that England just said, you know what, we're putting our 3 healthy scratches to our 3 best players and waiting for the next game. So with Frankie Ciliano, am I betting against him against Finland? No, I'm not. I'm taking England in this one.
You're taking England. You're taking...
And oddly enough, in the early picks that have come in, more have actually said Finland. I don't know why, but they have.
I'm leaning towards the Finns right now. I really am. I think Joakim Miller, Rup Jokela, Zach Hagen, or no, sorry, he's Israel.
Higgins is Israel.
But I think they've been playing really well. They went undefeated in the round robin, did they not?
Yeah, they won their group straight up.
Beat Australia.
In an interesting game, to say the least.
An interesting game, yes. But with all that being said, I'm of English descent, Evan. I can't bet against the motherland. So give me England as well. Taking England. All right, so with those two games, the winner of that gets Israel. And with that being said, so now that we've both taken England and we've both made a pick between the Netherlands and Czechs, we know that those teams are going to move in to the quarterfinals here. So essentially these games that we're picking, we're predicting who they're going to play in the next round. So we have Israel against England, we're both predicting, and USA, I'm predicting it's going to be the Netherlands, you're predicting it's going to be the Czechs. And now we need to pick those games.
And that's different from the online picks where you just say the winner, you get both teams.
There you go.
It's different.
Okay, so USA against either the Czechs or the Dutch, Evan. Who you got?
It's an easy one for the Americans here. They have far too much talent well above the other two teams. The Americans make it to the semis.
I agree. And let's just keep moving because I think that's a pretty easy pick, which leads us to Israel against either Finland or England. Who you got?
Well, now, of course, Israel beat England in overtime. A rough start for Frankie Chiliano, 5 goals in, I think, the opening 10 minutes. But then 1 goal in the next 45. So what Israeli team's going to show?
Deckelbaum didn't play in that game against England.
No, I'm still going to take the Israelis. I just think they are the better team.
I think they might be the better team as well.
And they're rested. They got 2 days rest coming into this game.
But I think England is going to make a statement here. I think they're going to get a little payback for that overtime loss. I hate to go against my buddy Brad MacArthur and the Israelis, but again, God save the Queen, Evan. I'm going to go with England here to beat Israel in the quarterfinals. You're taking Israel. I got England. And there's my one game lead right there.
Well, if Israel wins, it's your death. Twice you've taken England in this game and twice lost.
If England beats Israel, I got to do something,
yeah.
Right? Like I got to do something. Okay, so now we know it is semifinal time. This is going to be on Thursday. And essentially, we're looking at an Iroquois USA quarterfinal matchup here.
Right.
Who you got?
As much as there's no Lyle Thompson, as much as there's no Thomas Hogarth, I'm still taking the Iroquois. The American goaltending is weak at best. They got some fire. They got some definite firepower out front. There's no question about that. But I think there's just too much overall talent from the Iroquois not to be back in the final.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Iroquois over the USA, which will put USA into the bronze medal game. Canada against either Israel or England. Evan, I don't even know if I need to ask you on this, but for the sake of the show, who you got?
Canada had 2 lopsided wins over both teams. It's a pretty easy pick. That's the Canadians.
Agreed. So that leaves us with our bronze medal game, which will either be USA against Israel or USA against England. Canada and Iroquois in the final. Let's talk about the bronze medal game here first, Evan. Who you got?
The Americans, of course, handled England easily, although granted the people that were missing. But they also handled Israel relatively well without Matt Rambo. And trying to remember who else that there was. Connor Kelly.
Matt Dunn, yes.
So if they have even more bodies in this game, I think they roll to the bronze medal.
And pretty safe to assume we're both taking Canada over. I'm still going to ask you, but just safe to assume that we're taking Canada over.
Safe to assume.
Okay, wait. Who you got, Evan?
Who I got is Canada. As much as I was looking forward to this phenomenal gold medal game, it still can be a phenomenal gold medal game. The Iroquois injuries are just stacking up.
But the round robin game last night finished in a 7-goal win for Canada, but it wasn't a 7-goal game. Like it 7-6 at halftime. Shots were dead even. It was a big fourth quarter. It almost seemed like Canada just, that's why the game is 60 minutes long, is because they just kept coming and coming and coming. And finally in the fourth quarter, Warren Hill and the Nationals defense, they just could not hold the fort anymore. And it was almost like the dam just busted open.
Well, I got to give a lot of props to my man Kyle Rubish, right? We egg on him a little bit for his lack of goal scoring, but he picked up this ball in transition, and it's him and Curtis Dixon who had not yet come off.
He looked off Superman on the 2-on-1.
Yeah, and Hyanna Thompson, I don't blame him for completely going to Dixon.
Oh, he did the right thing.
You're not going to think Rubes is ever going to score, but he buried that 5-hole, and every time that Rubes scores, I owe him a beer because he's.
And that was a big goal too. It was an important goal for Team Canada at that point of the game as well.
Yeah, no, but he won one stage in the NLL. He went 2.5 years without a goal.
Yeah,
so
I know the feeling. So my man Rubes with a big goal there last night for Team Canada. They win it 19-12 in what could very well be a rematch of the gold medal game coming up on Saturday. So let's recap it here quickly. I got the Netherlands. You got the Czechs. You got Israel. I got England. Those are our only two differentiating picks. We got the rest of the thing going right to the wire. Canada winning gold, Iroquois winning silver, USA winning bronze is kind of how we have it going. You got the one-game lead. This is the final who you got of the summer season, and it'll all be settled by Saturday night, where I will be crowned champion. I can't wait for this. This is going to be
fantastic.
fantastic.
It'll all be settled by Thursday night.
Yes, yeah, good, touche. I can win even earlier than Saturday. I love it.
I'm just going to hate to see you moping around this house when I beat you.
Yeah, I know. if the key still works when you try and come home. All right, so that was who you got, presented by Stampede Tech and Western Wear, and just one thing left to do here on Lacrosse Classified for episode 46, and that's to get to news and notes, as we always do to end off the podcast here. I want to start with the Emily Goss update. Things are progressing still. Just got an update from Warren Goss a couple of days ago. Emily continuing all her therapy. She's almost refusing the doctors and nurses to get rest. She wants to push herself so hard all the time. She's walking further. She's talking more. Good things are happening for Emily. It's amazing the strength that this girl has and how far she has come in her recovery in just a short period of time. And I have no doubt she's going to continue the progress. So keep it going, Emily. The entire lacrosse world is behind you. And hashtag Goss Strong. You gave away a shirt last night at the World Championships, Evan. You just kind of draped the thing over your back while you were standing on the concourse watching the game, and you put out a tweet saying, whoever comes and finds me first is going to win a T-shirt, and Ryder Bremner was the first man to track you down.
Yeah, actually, when I put the tweet out, I was over at the field house. This is the thing. The tweet said, I am at the World Lacrosse Championships. Right. And there's 2 or 3 people circling around,
looking for you.
The arena bowl, looking for me. Not
2
realizing
arenas.
There's 2 arenas.
There's 2 arenas.
I'm over at the other one. So I actually had to come back to the arena bowl for people to find me. But keep an eye out. I still got about a half dozen of these things to hand out.
So I think just one a day, right? And just bring a shirt with you a day, and just going to carry it around with you. And if you spot Evan inside the Langley Event Center, walk up to him. We got to say, you got to say, who you got or something.
Yeah.
And you get yourself a T-shirt. That's how easy it's going to work.
Well, it's interesting how many people look at my name badge like, oh, Evan, I didn't know what you looked like.
Yeah, a lot of people doing that. A lot of people doing that. So congrats to Ryder Bremner. We're going to give away another shirt today at some point, so keep an eye out for Evan. Walking around the concourse, good chance to be in the Arena Bowl today with the 2 games that are happening later tonight. So keep an eye out for Evan if you're in town. Win yourself a shirt from Stampede Tack and Western Wear.
And keep an eye out, too. I'm doing some daily articles with Lax All-Stars, just kind of daily recaps as to everything going on out at Langley.
I had that in my news and notes, Evan. I was going to get to that. Check out Evan's work on lacrosseallstars.com. He's given daily recaps from the World Championships every day. He's been staying up late, hunkered down in the room there, burning the candle at both ends, getting out those daily updates here from the Worlds. Speaking of the Worlds, Evan, some of the highlights you want to take away from the first 5-6 days here?
I'm a guy that loves the minnow nations. Everybody, there was a big crowd there for Canada Iroquois last night. Not a surprise, but what I really loved, and especially in that field house, because if it was in the Arena Bowl, this would have got lost. But you have teams like Serbia and Hong Kong, Australia. Austria had a huge crowd last night. These ethnic communities within the city of Vancouver coming to support their team. And in that field house, because it only seats about 800 tops.
It gets rocking in there, though.
Yeah, the sound's just bouncing. And the game between Hong Kong and Serbia was absolutely crazy. And I love the fans on both sides for putting that kind of atmosphere out there. A game of massive runs. The Serbians, these guys are the heart attack kids. Not only did they go on an 8-1 run to beat the Dutch, they then went on an 11-2 run to beat Hong Kong.
It's almost like they like to get down, and then they're like, oh, yeah, we better start trying now.
But it's something else to watch this, because, Nick Bielich is playing both sides of the floor, so he's playing 45 minutes a game. Ilya Gaitchu,
walking on one leg.
Yeah, it's a little stunning that a guy that when he's in those games, he's showing that much talent isn't in the NLL anymore.
Yeah, and I don't think that's because he doesn't. He couldn't make the. I just don't think his work commitments will allow him to play in the NLL. I think is the issue for Ilya Gaich right now. But still, he back in his prime was one of my favorite players to watch play the game, and probably still is. The man is just an absolute warrior and only knows how to play the game one way. So. For me, I just think the whole thing as a whole, the way the tournament has gone off so far, and the games are only going to get better, and all the comments that I've gotten over social media about the job that myself and others have done on the broadcast has been great. But just the whole vibe around the World Championships with all the different nations and fans and all the different things you see and hear inside the arenas and watch, it's like nothing else in our sport when you get a tournament like this with 20 nations coming together under one roof, and you get a team like Costa Rica that, like, let's be real here, Evan, they have a hard time passing and catching at sometimes. Mm-hmm. And then you get a team like Team Iroquois or Team Canada that is like just unbelievable to watch the speed and the skill of these guys. And then you get kind of everything in between, and it's just neat to see one spectrum all the way to the other end of it.
Yeah, I mean, other than a little thing of they should probably put these groups together closer to where teams seed to begin with. I mean, a team like Costa Rica, yeah, they've gotten killed every game they've been playing, but
they don't care.
They don't care. No, they're here to develop. All but 2 players on this team are actually from Costa Rica.
Yeah.
They haven't really had that much time in a box to...
Never.
Yeah.
They've never played inside of it. The only lacrosse that they know has been out on like a grass field. And,
right.
And I got to get a shout out in here to my physician and a longtime friend of mine who's helped me in my career for a long, long time, and that's Dr. Don Hedges, who is essentially responsible for lacrosse even existing in Costa Rica. He'll take a number of players back there every year and put on some clinics for these guys on his own dime, and continues to do so to this day. And he is, like, I can't imagine how much pride he must have in his body watching his team, which is Costa Rica, play here in his home country, in his backyard at the World Championships. It's just fantastic.
And another team that I really admire watching is Hong Kong. Like, these guys are undersized compared to everybody else.
They're like an army, though, man.
But they're so fast. It's crazy.
And drilled.
Joe Ty's investment in this team is really paying off.
Yeah, Travis Gillespie, Scott Browning doing yeoman's work there with Team Hong Kong. They've been a nice surprise. Like I mentioned, Netherlands has really kind of come out of nowhere onto the scene. I think Finland has had a great tournament. A number of things have just been fabulous to watch here, and the games are only going to get better and bigger as we move along here. We didn't get a chance to recap the draft because we recorded on Tuesday day. The draft took place a week ago, Tuesday night, and into Wednesday morning, I guess, Evan. It went about 5.5 hours on air. What a grind there for Devin, Teddy, and Stamper, but they got through it. I guess we could throw Tabitha and Jordy in there as well, but they got through it. I thought the draft went off really well. It was a great production, and congratulations to everybody that got drafted. Tyson Gibson going number 1, Rylan Reese going number 2, Andrew Q going number 3, Holden Garland going number 4, and then after that I can't remember because I just wanted to get to the Saskatchewan pick more than anything.
Yeah, Tyson Gibson going number 1, I think, stunned everybody.
Yeah, everybody was a little taken back at that.
Even Teddy and Stamper are, shuffling their notes quick. So I was like, what's going on here? But Holden Garland, the pick that the Rush really needed. They needed some transition help. They got a lot of transition help. And the interesting pickup, though, at the end of the day, is Dunkerley, the goaltender, because we don't like this is still mind-boggling that even as well as Pete Dubinsky's playing here, he's still not signed.
No.
But he's got to be a backup somewhere. He's not going to be a third-string goaltender.
No, I would think I think Dubinsky probably thinks he's got a chance of being a starter somewhere. I think that's in his mindset after the summer he's coming off of. He thinks he can challenge somewhere for a starting job. I don't think that's going to be in Saskatchewan. I think they're set up really nicely now, though, with Evan Kirk, Adam Shute, and Cam Dunkley as their third goaltender. You're right. For me, I thought Rochester was probably the team that did the best in the draft. Like I don't think people are really realizing how good the Rochester Nighthawks are going to be in their first year. I could be completely wrong. I don't think so. But just watching what Dan Carey has done in the expansion draft, signing free agents, trades, and now the entry draft, this man knows what he's doing and how to build a lacrosse team.
Rochester, Vancouver, head-to-head, who would you take right now?
Rochester.
Yeah.
I would.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's all you need to say. So congratulations to everybody that got drafted at last week's NLL entry draft. I thought the production was fabulous. Joe Feld and company did a great job. And it's only going to get bigger and better, man. Like, they just put out the numbers. I think there was like a huge, like a 46% unique viewership increase, 177% viewership had gone up from last year's draft. They just put out a stat that I saw online about the numbers from the draft, and it was a smashing success, and I don't doubt it after the production that they put on. It was great. Little long.
They got to get it down to 4 rounds.
Yeah,
I think.
well, maybe, I don't know how they do it, but they need to tighten it up. Georgia taking an extension almost every round didn't help matters. We don't want to get it. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. We want to, but we're not going to. So that was the draft, and I think that's it, man. You got anything else?
No, just looking forward to another week of lacrosse, and then we're going to have one of us 5-6 week break here. And
listen,
not on the show, but we're going to have a 5-6 week.
We're going to keep the show going, but I know what you're saying. But like literally, training camp, by the time the Worlds wrap up, training camp will be 4 weeks away. Now we won't have the lockout CBA dispute that we had last year to
thank God
talk to. Well, yeah, but on the other hand, we had lots of things to talk about and people to talk to about it. So we'll have to figure some things out for next week and how we want to approach that. But we'll get through it. I mean, hey, we've done 46 of these things, Evan. We'll figure it out.
There's so many people to talk to, and so many people are so excited to come on the show that we'll have a lot of people that you're going to be interested to hear talking about.
And literally, training camp is going to be a month away. Like, they're going to kick open late October, early November, and you get 4 weeks of camp, a couple exhibition games in there, and boom, we're off and running November the 29th for the NLL season. It's not far off now.
No, and now with 13 teams, there's no lack of things to talk about.
Absolutely. So that will do it here for episode number 46 of Lacrosse Classified. Thanks to our wonderful sponsors in Pure Vita Labs, Associated Labels and Packaging, and Stampede Tack for their continued support of the podcast and the way that you, the loyal listener that listens to Lacrosse Classified every single Tuesday right here on Lax All-Stars, can keep this podcast going. Support our sponsors. So please do that. And thanks for listening to Lacrosse Classified. Thanks to Jim Scherr and Blaze Riorden for coming on the program. And now we got to go. For Evan Schemenauer, I've been Jake Elliott. And for the fastest game on 2 feet, and for the creator, enjoy the games, everybody.